School with gasoline, say hell yeah, hell yeah. Say white trash, white trash. Hey kid, it's party time. We're kicking out the jams like the MC5. That's the way I wanna be. I'll be a white trash superstar. That's the way I wanna be. I'll be a white trash superstar.
What's up, Candy Lickers? Pleased to meet you. Nice to know me. What you doing? You're listening to another edition of Casio's Cut, and I'm here with a good buddy of mine, Mr. Josh Shernoff is in the house. What's up, buddy?
Oh, man. I am so excited to be here. I thought when you sent me a message asking me to be on this, I was like, oh, man, poor Casio. He slid into the wrong DMs, and this is going to get so awkward. I'm like, man, hey, I'm not whoever you thought I was. But no, man, thank you so much for having me here. This is awesome.
Yeah, now's the time to tell you I thought you were Rick Abani, and we'll move over that later. let's if you know Josh Shernoff, you know, and if you don't, you better learn. One of the voices in wrestling right now. We got to address a lot of things. First of all, your background is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
We got a lot of figures. I'm fighting the urge to get into figures because that is how it ends up right there.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. But a lot of these are just mine from when I was a kid.
Okay,
so.
That's cool. So if you're listening and not watching to this, first of all, jump over to YouTube and watch. But second of all, you have all the, well, not all, but you have, do you know how many figures you have?
Oh, God, I have no idea.
No clue.
Way more than my wife wants me to have.
I was going to say, usually a man with that many figures, not married, but
yeah, right.
You are locked down.
I kept them hidden until, afterwards. Like I do. I'm like, and I have something to tell you.
You're not going into this room until last.
Yep.
So you have a wall left and right of you, but we were chatting right before we hit record. The ones on, well, I don't know how they're looking, but on one shoulder, that shoulder, those are people you've worked with.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of my like bright idea of how I could get figures out of the bins in my basement and display them. Was to be like, well, hey, it's people I worked with. It's kind of cool. And then it kind of snowballed from there. But, yeah, it's any figures that maybe I had when I was a kid, or maybe, I found along the way. And then like the AEW ones, I started buying once they came out, and that became way too expensive because they're doing a great job, but making way too many of these guys that I've had the privilege of working with. So now I'm like, all right, this is, but thankfully I don't need one. I don't need each of theirs. I just get one for each guy I worked with. But yeah, so it's starting to fill up pretty nicely. I'm pretty happy with it.
And when you say work with, for the people that don't know Shernoff, you are a reporter, announcer. What do you call yourself?
Yeah, I don't know.
Interviewer.
I think an interviewer. So interviewer, host. I think from what I have on my LinkedIn, at least, is producer and on-air talent for FITE TV.
Okay.
So on-air talent kind of covers. I'm a podcast host. I host Fight and Focus for them. That's my primary job. I host and produce those. And then I'll do backstage interviews for their social media, which is a lot of what I used to do pre-pandemic with AEW for FITE. And then I did just this past weekend with GCW, which was a lot of fun. And
yeah, we're going to get to that. Yeah. Those were incredible.
Thank you.
Those are incredible. We had the privilege of meeting at Starcast, mini Starcast, but we had the privilege of meeting there. So do you, my cat Moose has decided after 25 hours of laying in that exact spot, it's time to move.
Shift slightly to the left and right back to sleep.
Yeah, he's perturbed. I'm talking too loud. Let's talk about behind you, your tie collection. What's happening here?
Oh man. So it was my idea. Well, it was my idea, but it came from Bill Apter. I had done so going back. I mean, I used to be a wrestler and then I stopped for a long time. And I wasn't really a part of the business. And I bumped into Bill Apter, who I hadn't seen in years. Bill moved into my neighborhood when I was like 9 or 10 years old. His daughter and my sister were
what
like
neighborhood is it? City? What?
It's suburbs of Philadelphia.
Okay, Philly.
So yeah, when I guess he was in New York, and then when the Apter Mags, as they're called, when they moved to, I want to say they're in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. So he ended up living right in my neighborhood, right down the street from me. And man, when my brother and I found out Bill Apter is moving in, we're like, okay, here we go. Here we go. I don't know what we're getting out of this, but we're going to, we're pretty much just going to be like vultures.
Were you stalking him?
Oh, it's not stalking if you're right out in the open, you know? So, I mean, there was no shame involved whatsoever.
What were you doing? Finding out where he hung out? Were you messing?
No, we just went to his house. We just went to his house. We're like, hey, we're wrestling fans. And he's like, come on into my basement. And we're like, you know, it was a different time back then. But yeah,
that's amazing.
So I knew Bill for forever, and but I hadn't seen him in a number of years, and you know, as it is now with social media, you know, you keep in touch with people or you keep in touch over text, and you don't end up seeing them for a long time. But I was in his neighborhood, I was driving by, and he's out taking the trash out, and we stopped, we talked. He's like, "Oh, come on in." We were chatting, and he's like, "Hey, I do this little show on YouTube once a week. You should come, like, be my co-host for a week." I'm like, "Ah, cool, that sounds fun." So I went the next Wednesday to do it. And he's like, who's, you know, or I was like, "Oh, who's the guest?" And he's like, "Oh, it's Conrad Thompson. We're talking about this StarCast thing he's going to do."
Oh, nice.
I'm like, well, I'm a huge fan of Conrad's and you know, and something to wrestle. That was, I think he only had 1 or 2 podcasts back then. It was before he had 15.
Yeah. He was just a fledgling in the podcast world.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I did that. And at the end of it, and this ties into the ties. At the end of it, you know, I was just wearing like a polo shirt, not something like this where you could see me sweating through, but just like a regular blue polo shirt. And Bill's like, you need to have a gimmick. You need to have some sort of gimmick or something to stand out. Okay. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, so when I used to wrestle, I had some like airbrush gear and stuff, you know, because I didn't know where to buy real wrestling gear when I was younger. And so I was like, well, maybe I can see if that person who used to do my airbrush stuff, if she's still working, and maybe she can airbrush me a tie, and it can have like, you know, after chat, and it can have like, you know, and that was pretty much it. I did that. I'm like, well, that'll make me stand out, because otherwise what am I? Right. I'm generic guy of, you know, average height if I'm lying. And then, you know, so, and then I grew the beard because I'm like, that's Conrad's secret to success. And yeah, so it all kind of came together. But that's the history with the ties. And
so are those ties retired, or is that the rotation?
Some of them are rotation and some of them are retired. Some of them are like, I think I have some StarCast ones up there. I've started learning a little bit more. Like when I was doing AEW, I started just doing the pay-per-view logo, because when I did StarCast, it was like StarCast 1. And then it's like, well, you can't wear that again. So, you know, one and done. Yeah. So but I do have some of the StarCast ones behind me. And then they're more or less like the ones I think look really cool. Okay. So I have them hanging there.
I mean, I'm in love with your backdrop. Do you have maybe it's Meanie, or it might be Chris Farley motivational speaker over your shoulder?
Right over
top
here.
Shelf.
Top shelf.
With the tie.
Oh no! So that's actually an old Arn Anderson figure.
That's an Arn.
That I painted it when I was a kid. It's not a tie. It's like a fist or something on a shirt. I painted it to look like me when I wrestled with my friends.
Oh, there you go.
I found it. I don't even know how long ago, but when I got my own actual action figure, I was like, well, I have to display the one I painted of myself when I was a kid, because I made ones for me and all my friends, like when we were young, and I would just go.
You were doing customs early.
Oh man, real early. And then my dad would have to like lock his workroom because he's like, you can't, you know, you're not washing the brushes, and it was
you're ruining everything.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, that's up there. And then I've got my if I can plug them, my Mind of the Meanie 2-pack action.
Now this just came out.
Just came out, yeah. And they're almost all gone, which is amazing. But yeah, it's me and Meanie, and it has the logo from the show, and I've got the little microphone that removes and the custom tie. And I'll give you some breaking news is that we're going to have FITE TV. There's going to be a solo one of me, and it's going to be a whole campaign to be able to, if you take a picture of me at a live event that airs on FITE and the proper hashtags and all, you get FITE points, which, you know, you can earn to get pay-per-views and stuff. So yeah, we're, so it's pretty incredible. Definitely don't deserve it, but I'm happy to have it. I'll take it.
If anybody, before they sell out, if they haven't sold out by the time they're listening to this, where can they get the Mind of Meanie 2-pack?
Go to mindofthemeanie.com. And the link is right there. And I think we've got, because I know Cello Toys sold out of theirs, and there's another seller and they sold out of theirs. And I think we've got, we definitely have less than 100 left.
Jeez.
So yeah. And I think we just sold out of all the signed ones. And so we try to tell people, we're like, you know, you got to get the signed ones, because if Meanie and I don't get a chance to see each other in person before we sell out all the other ones, we're not signing anymore. So, you know,
but you won't be able to check each other out.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. Meanie, previous guest on Casio's Cut. If you're watching this and you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it. He's always a blast, of course. But I texted him and I said, your boy Shernoff is coming on. I said, I need to know something to bring up. Do you have any inside scoop? Do you think he told me anything?
Oh man, I'm trying to think of what he might know. I don't know. Let's say maybe he made something good up, because I don't know that there's anything.
He did not. He said he's so straight laced. There's really isn't anything I can think of to rib him on. Dude is so white he thinks mayo is spicy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely too spicy for my taste, but yeah, no, that's about it.
And then he said, ask him the last time he shit his pants.
Oh man, God, last time Wednesday. What day is it? I don't know. Definitely.
How many times have you heard Blue Meanie fart in your
life? So much so, if I may, that I have. How much am I sweating through this? It was I just worked out before I was doing this, because I was like, yeah, I had to put pants on.
I'm sweating and I did not work out.
Well, so. You know what? I had to put pants on for the GCW thing, which, although I did see some people there where I was like, maybe I didn't need to. But I was like, yeah, it's been a long time since I've actually had to put the pants on with the rest of the suit. And I was like, I should really exercise. And but you shouldn't exercise and then shower and then do a show, because I'm still sweating from my exercise. That, or I'm just nervous to talk to you. But I do have from Meanie.
All my listeners are sweating right now listening.
There you go. Tell me if you can hear this.
Oh, yeah.
I come through loud and clear. That's one of Meanie's. And then that's another one. That's unedited. That was, he just did it into the microphone and we grabbed it for the Mind of the Meanie podcast.
He is the master of farts. Oh. And if you want to make him laugh, bring up farts or shitting.
Yeah, it's thankfully originally we were going to do the podcast in a studio. Man, no. It wouldn't have lasted the 70 something episodes that it has. I wouldn't have lasted. So yeah, but no, Meanie's amazing. And him asking me to do that podcast was one of the best things that could have happened to my career in this business.
Well, that's what I was going to roll into next is you did mention you're a Philly guy, and he of course is a Philly legend. And just meeting him through the Starcast as well, is he's one of the nicest guys on the planet.
Definitely. But
when did you guys meet? How did this blossom? How did Mind of the Meanie podcast come about?
We had we'd met here and there at different conventions, and I'd interviewed
stalked him like Bill after. That's what
I followed him into the bathroom, regretted it instantly. And then so we had gotten a good rapport with each other. And then I was at MLW. It was like right before the apocalypse started. It was I want to say like beginning of February 1st, February 2nd, something like that. And I was doing interviews for a show on FITE, and he was one of the people I interviewed, and it was more long form. So it was like a 20-minute interview as opposed to like the 2-minute that I'd been grabbing at conventions and stuff. So we really got to talk, and I thought we had a really nice interview. And apparently he'd been thinking about a podcast for a while, but was trying to figure out, who would be a good host to have. And as he tells it, he says a blue light bulb went off in his head, and he's like, "What about that Josh Shernoff guy?" So he asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not turning that down. That's amazing." And and we built a nice little pod squad, as we call them, and we got our Patreon group, and we're having a lot of fun with it. We're having a really good time. We've done, as of this recording, we've done 72 episodes. And I'm finally I'm doing the hot tag to somebody else to come in, work with them so I can take a vacation. But which isn't not really a vacation because I'm going with my 3 kids and my wife, but it's,
You're
but
going on a trip.
I'm going on a trip. I'm leaving my home. So I think someone else will be stepping in for a couple weeks there, but it's been amazing. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm just glad that he thought of me to do that. Because like the action figure, even the action figure through FITE that we're doing, the only reason they're doing that is because it's cheap to repaint a figure, so this stuff doesn't happen without that podcast. So yeah, I'm grateful. And then also, I mean, it's the blue meanie. Like I had a buddy dress as him for Halloween when we were in high school. Like it's crazy to me sometimes. And then to have a 2-pack with him and all, it's been awesome. And he's the best. So yeah, I can't complain. And none of the listeners have really complained except for one guy who posted a negative review and said that I talk too much and that the podcast would be great if Casio Kid was the host.
I actually made that comment, so I'm glad you.
There you go. So.
I'm a little disappointed you're going on vacation without calling me. That's what
right.
That's what I'm really torn up about. Somebody else that has left you a negative review. Let's just talk about it.
Cool.
You got heat with Dave Meltzer.
Yeah. You know what?
Are you blocked? Are you still blocked?
I'm blocked. Yeah.
What did you say to get blocked?
So I started asking. So we did a thing called Meanie Tunes, and it was my brother.
Your brother does that, right?
Yeah, my brother did that for us.
Great work.
And then Conrad poached him from us to do. Conrad's like, he's like, "Hey, do you mind? Like, do you mind if I ask your brother to do some stuff?" I'm like, "Listen, we're not paying him, so and we're not going to. So if you can give him
whatever you offer as a raise." Yeah,
right. And and he's done amazing stuff with the short stories of Swaggle over at adfreeshows.com. So we did that, and I'm like, it'd be really funny if we could get Meltzer to give it like a star rating. So I tweeted it at him, and I'm like, because at that point we'd had like Chris Jericho had retweeted it, like we'd had some names like retweeting it, and I'm like, "Hey Meltzer, I'm like, do you think we could get a star rating on Meanie Tunes?" And nothing, radio silence. So then a little bit later, I'm like, "Hey Meltzer, can we do Meanie Tunes?" And nothing at all. And then Joel Gertner said something about how Meltzer's been no-selling them, and on something he tweeted something. So I responded. I said, "Yeah, I've been trying to get him to do to give a star rating to Meanie Tunes for a couple of months, but apparently he only answers if you say something negative about Japanese wrestling." And he did. He answered by blocking me. So I was like, "All right then." So yeah,
that's amazing.
That's our relationship. And
do
then
you know if you're blocked by anybody else?
I don't know. I really don't know.
So nobody that you know of.
No one that I know of has blocked me, other than
have
Meltzer,
you?
Which I guess
do you have people blocked?
I don't have anyone blocked. I think I have people muted.
A lot of mutes.
Yeah, lots of mutes because you don't want to
the satisfaction.
Right. Sometimes you just want to mute them, and sometimes they're people you like, but they're just. But you just. Yeah, and you're just like, "Oh man, this dude's such a good guy, but I just can't stand to see another one of these. Like, this is what I ate today. Like, I don't care, The
worst is when you go to unfollow somebody and you're like, "Oh God, they followed me. This really sucks."
Yeah, right.
And you're like, I gotta hit the mute. I can't have them knowing I don't follow them anymore or block them. Here's a secret trick. Not for the Meltzers in the world, but for trolls. Don't block them. Well, you block them and then immediately unblock them. And what it does is it makes them unfollow you.
Really?
How about that move?
Interesting.
So you block, unblock. They're never blocked. They never see that you're blocked because you literally did it like that.
Oh,
but in the meantime, since they got blocked, it makes them unfollow you. So it's time before they realize, oh God, I want to troll Shernoff, but I don't see his stuff anymore. Takes them, and then they have to go follow you again.
I'm still hoping to get trolls because I feel like you haven't really made it until like I need a little more negativity.
Okay. Well, anybody watching this, give Shernoff some hate.
Yeah, just give me some shit, please. If you don't mind.
Give him 1 star and tell him I should be hosting the show.
Yep.
That's what we need. We need to continue that conversation.
Yes, please.
So let's talk about, we mentioned it earlier because it was great stuff. You just did GCW, you just did Cardona and Nick Gage, Matt winning the belt.
Mm-hmm.
But just watching your interviews on social beforehand and afterwards, and just us all being around that business, talk about that night because incredible night, first of all. And now everybody's talking about the crowd reaction. You were there, you were in the house. Now it's a t-shirt from Meltzer, of course, your boy shitting all over it. But just talk about that because I thought they were incredible interviews before and after.
Oh, thanks.
And man, I hadn't seen somebody get that much heat in a long time.
Yeah, that was like scary heat.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he won, I got back into the locker room to be there just in case. I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to get an interview. And Matt's awesome and was like, you know, and I've known him for years. And so he's like, yeah, definitely. And then Brett Lauderdale from GCW was like, hey, put it out on your social media. And I'm like, dude, that's
even
way
better.
too kind, you know?
Yeah.
So when I got to the back, there was a lot of concern about how he was going to get backstage, how Matt Cardona was going to get backstage, and a lot of concern about them throwing stuff. I saw a couple of referees. One of them got hit real bad in the head, and they kind of like dropped him. So I never
He got
saw
hit by a figure. Did you see the figure?
Yeah, right. I think it was Billy Gunn. Somebody.
Yeah, it was Billy.
And I'm sure he could tell you exactly what series it was from.
Of all people to get hit by one.
Yeah,
Kind of
seriously. Like, man, how dare you hit me with a Series 7? So yeah, it was a scary thing though. And I know Matt went out the front and then circled back around, but,
So did you see the throwing start?
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to get backstage because I thought Matt would quickly get out of the ring and was coming back down the aisle, but he went the other way, which was kind of what they went. They're like, he's going to get, because they don't have guardrail there. So he was just going to get mobbed on his way, on his way out. So I didn't see any plants. I didn't see anything like that. All I saw was concern about that. And it just, the way everyone was talking about it backstage earlier in the day and afterwards, and the announcements of like, let's not harm the wrestlers or anything like that. It just didn't seem like they were trying to encourage that. And they're smart enough to know their audience and to know that if you throw a couple of, empty cans, well, everybody's just going to start throwing stuff. And so I don't think there are any plans. I'm not on the inner circle of GCW. So I couldn't say, but all I know is I was there way early in the afternoon. I was there about an hour and a half after the show. There was no talk of plans. You didn't see anybody so I don't know. I don't think there were. And guess what? Even if there were, I think those same fans would have thrown the stuff anyway.
Well, I mean, that's why I don't think there's plants is it turns out dangerous because if the plants throw something, everybody's throwing whatever they want. It's the classic clip of when they all threw the chairs in the ring back in the day and they just buried Terry Funk's getting out of there. And like, you know what I mean? Like that's a dangerous spot.
Yeah.
So I don't look, GCW is down they're down to play with some stuff, but I just think if you plant somebody throwing stuff, it opens the door like it did, whether it was a plan or not, to chaos.
Yeah. And the other thing was, I'm pretty sure Matt had a ton of PBRs with him.
Yeah.
Because they're a sponsor for Major Wrestling for Your podcast, which I think
I heard him tell you to get him out of the bag.
Yep. Go. So it was great. I was kind of talking, but I'm talking over it in the interview, but he actually yells to somebody, says, "Go through my bag. Bob Holly's not going to throw you out of the locker room," which I thought was great.
I didn't hear the Bob Holly part.
Yeah.
That's
so he says it under when I'm, introducing him. But
I already asked for a PBR. That was great.
He asked for the PBR. So he had this enormous case of it. And from what I understand, he was supposed to do kind of like a beer bash afterwards. So again, that kind of lends itself to there were no plants, because if the whole idea was that they were going to bring all this beer out and he was going to do this big celebration in the ring and they scrapped it because everyone's throwing things, well, why would they have planted people to throw stuff? It doesn't make any sense. So, but Meltzer said it, so it might be true. It must be true. Yeah.
100% true.
Yeah.
Could anybody cut a better promo for FITE TV than Nick Gage?
Man, didn't he put them over? That was, I sent a text to the social media.
Did y'all buy a cameo from him for that?
Yeah. I'm like, I sent a text to the social media guy from FITE and I'm like, hey man, I don't know if you caught the Nick Gage interview, but you need to cut part of that out and use that as his own separate video. Cause he just he put over FITE TV. Yeah. And I mean, he believes it too. Cause he was very appreciative of what FITE's doing, the platform that they're giving GCW. And yeah, it was, but yeah, what a promo. That guy is, he's frightening.
You've been around him. I watched AEW, of course, with his match with Jericho. You've been around him. You talked to him. I was at Conrad's house watching it. For us, and I'm sure for you, that was just a cool moment to see him. I mean, it's got to be his biggest crowd he's ever wrestled in front of. Yeah. And it's just, it was just fun to see him get that moment.
Well, one thing, and I was unsure whether or not I should say it or not, because, if you're backstage and you're hearing things, but I don't think he would mind this, is I heard him when I was back there talking to some of the other guys like Mance Warner and people like that, and talking about the opportunity that was coming up on Wednesday, and really just talking about how he's doing that for all of that, for all of the hardcore, death match, all that what he was feeling on his shoulders of having to represent that. And to me, like, that's, people can say whatever they want about wrestling, but that moment right there, that was 100% real. What he was carrying with him to the ring there, aside from the various light bulbs and whatnot, he was carrying this, like, he felt like he was carrying deathmatch wrestling, which, whether or not it's your thing, and it never really was my thing, but I mean, you have to respect the fact that is how he makes a living. That is something he's passionate about. And he felt like he was representing it on such a huge stage. And you could tell that really meant something to him. So yeah, that was a cool moment seeing him out there with a guy like Jericho, and I couldn't believe some of that was on TNT also.
No, it was incredible. I mean, as a wrestling fan, I think we all would have booked it different, or we could have tweaked that or whatever. But I thought overall, what a great moment for him to do that. He got through. He's in a match with Jericho. He's on national television. And I thought that was a great moment. And like I said, sure you appreciated it being around him as well. And look, if he's mad about sharing his backstage thoughts, make sure Nick Gage. Casio didn't say anything. Josh Shernoff shared your backstage thoughts. Murder, death, kill his ass.
Blue Meanie told me to.
Okay, deflect.
There you go. Yeah.
Blue Meanie told me to. All right, we are. First of all, thank you for hanging out with me, dude. Big fan, and pleasure to meet you and work with you, and look forward to it again.
Likewise.
When we get out. And but before we get out of here, we got to put you through the countdown. Are you ready for the countdown, brother?
I'm ready.
All right. Countdown 10 to 1. Everybody asks the same questions. Number 10, name something that's a perfect 10 in your life.
I would have to say, and it might sound cheesy, but my kids. I could not ask for better kids and better family.
Thought you were gonna say wife. You say kids. That's good. It's even better answer.
It's the kids, and then the wife is 10 out of 10 as well. The whole package.
9.9, 9.9.
Yeah, 9.9.
I mean, if she wanted 9.9, you wouldn't take the vacation. All right, number 9. Speaking of 9, number 9 is the German word for no. What's something you wish was no more in your life?
A hypocritical answer would be negativity, because I've had a lot of fun. I have a show on FITE called So Says Shernoff, where I basically, that's Bruce Pritchard mentioned it on Something to Wrestle when I kind of tore Meltzer apart on it. And there have been many times that I've kind of gone negative, or I've poked fun, or I've been sarcastic, which is kind of my thing. But I would say there's fun negativity. Right. And then there's real negativity, and you see so much of it online, so much of it in the world. That would be the one thing. If people could just all try, myself included, could all try to just have as much of a positive attitude towards everything they go into, I think the world would be a completely different place.
I agree with you, though. There's some fun negativity.
Absolutely.
People need to be put in check with negativity. So I'm with you there. And number 8. When you die, what's the last thing you want to take? What's your last meal before you die?
Yeah, that's a tough one. But I feel like
now I want the whole deal now. If you want appetizer, this is your last meal. Go out on top. It could be a mix of home cooking and restaurant, either or. I need your drink with it. I need dessert if you're gonna have it. Come on.
Yeah, I think the meal would just be some form of ravioli, but like simple ravioli. Like I don't need fancy sauce or anything.
Cheese or meat?
Cheese. Cheese
just
ravioli.
Cheese ravioli.
Just cheese ravioli. It's always been like my favorite thing. And then for dessert would be, you ever have dirt? Like the pudding, and cookies.
From Alabama, we've ate dirt.
There you go.
I don't know if it's a dessert, but we've ate dirt.
That is my
dirt cake or dirt? What?
No, it's like all right. So it's like pudding. It's like chocolate pudding
with Oreos
and Oreos all crumbled up. And like cream cheese is mixed in there, all this stuff. And that's been my birthday cake every year since 5th grade.
Who makes it? Mom, grandma?
It was my mom until I got married, and then she kind of passed it off to my wife to do. And sometimes if I'm visiting my mom on my birthday, then my mom is forced to have to make it. Yeah. And everybody, all my friends, like I only had friends around my birthday so that they could come have the dirt. So
you don't have the dirt.
Yeah.
All right. I'm digging this. All right. Now, what are you drinking?
Man, I don't know. You know what? I used to have drinks that I really like. I was a big soda guy, and I cut that out. And now, like, it's too much for me.
Water, alcohol, wine.
I will have.
I mean, you have soda. It's your last meal. I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna have some kind of a wine, some red wine, something really expensive. Yeah.
Something you never had before, expensive.
Yes.
All right. Number 7, at 7 years old, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Pro wrestler, 100%.
Already?
Yep, absolutely.
But like not in the case, like, I mean, we all watched wrestling and went, oh, I'd like to be a wrestler. You're saying that was it. That was the plan.
That was always it, to the point where, I mean, I had my own, when I was 15, I started my own wrestling company and ran shows until the State Athletic Commission shut us down. And it was like, I ran
Philly?
Yeah, we had a show at the Fort Washington Expo Center in 99. And it was, we sold like 300 tickets. It was crazy. It was awesome. And then we tried to do one at this place called High Spots, and we got reported by Dino Santa from the WWWA. And then Dino tried to get all of us to come wrestle on his show after he told the State Athletic Commission about us. So yeah, I always wanted to be a wrestler from the earliest time I saw it. And I looked at guys like Bret Hart, and I'm like, man, like, you know, I'm his size, which is not at all true. I'm a fully grown man at 5'8". Like, you know, it didn't work out for me, but I saw guys like him and Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart.
They weren't like, giants.
Right. They're the smaller guys. Yeah. So they were the ones I always was a fan of. Yeah,
what was backup plan?
I did not have one.
There's no backup plan,
which was a problem for a long time. And then I ended up.
I mean, look at behind you. You got figures still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have I went to school for elementary and special ed. and then ended up working in real estate. And just always wanted to do something in wrestling. And I wrestled for OVW. I wrestled for a number of years. And then my last match was actually against Rich Swann in his first match.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and Rich and I have been friends ever since. And it's really cool when the guy who your last match is his first, and then he ends up becoming like kind of a big deal. Yeah. That's really good, because then I can name drop him everywhere. But he and I kind of feel like I'm like an honorary champion of everything he wins because I beat him. Okay. So I'm like, you know,
you went over that night.
Yeah, he's like cruiserweight champion. It's like, well, I'm kind of like an honorary cruiserweight champion, right? And it's like,
needed it to be a retirement match.
Yeah,
you just beat him and left.
That was it. And he likes to joke around, like he's like, man, I was just a kid, and you're a grown man beating on a little kid. I'm like, how much older than you do you think I am? But yeah, so I just always want to be a wrestler. And when that stopped, it was a whole lot of me going like, well, I guess I'll work in real estate and work a real job. And then thankfully connecting with Bill Apter again. And it's funny, I actually went to to Something to Wrestle at the ECW arena back in, maybe it was 2018, I guess. Yep. Maybe, yeah, something like that. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, I want to get tickets to Raw and SmackDown and Something to Wrestle, because that kind of got me back into enjoying wrestling. I never stopped watching, but my career ended from injury, and like you have this bitterness of like the fact that, you're a small guy, you didn't make it. It wasn't what you thought it was going to be. But Something to Wrestle was where it kind of took me back to when I was a kid and started becoming a real fan again. I remember saying to my wife, I'm like, you know what? I'm fine never being in the wrestling business again. I just want to go to these shows as a fan and really enjoy it and all that. And 6 months later, I was doing a podcast with Bill Apter, and, I'm back in the wrestling business.
Timeline, man.
Yeah. So it's always wanted to, I don't think I realized, but what I'm doing now is actually, maybe it's not what I always wanted to do, but it's exactly what I should be doing. And I wish I had known that this is what I should have been doing, talking about wrestling, as opposed to doing it.
All right. Number 6. How do you want to end up 6 feet under? How do you want to go out? Choking on dirt.
Yeah. I would like it to be like a nice surrounded by family type deal, but I also want to be like, I really like the idea of dying in my sleep, because
that's a lot of people's.
Yeah. Like, who the hell wants to be like, I don't want to be awake for the, like, I don't need to be there. I kind of want to go out on a jet ski accident. Just I hit another jet ski and it explodes. Mm-hmm. Lingering. I want instant death. But yes. I have a theory that no one cannot smile on a jet ski. You're always smiling on a jet ski, so that's just a good way to go out. A couple episodes ago, I had Wes Cantlin in a puddle of mud. He said he wants to get a blowjob and have a heart attack. Sure.
Right at the end. I mean,
in the mid, right at the end, at completion. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, he said he wanted.
Because otherwise, what a horrible way to go, right? If it's mid,
you didn't get to finish.
No, come on. Yeah, no,
so I mean that's peaceful in the sleep.
Yeah, peaceful in the sleep, or what you just mentioned isn't exactly the worst thing. So yeah, one of those.
Okay, all right, we can deal with that. All right, number 5, 5-finger discount. What's the last thing you stole?
I am actually proud to say the last thing I stole, I was in, I think it was in middle school. Okay. And it was like a Snickers bar. And my friends and I were at there was an A+ next to the train station. And it was just kind of like a game of like, hey, who can steal, like whatever. And just like stupid. And I stole it and I instantly felt like terrible. And I have too much of a conscience. It wasn't fun. And I'm like, I did it. And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, your approval isn't doing it for me. And so in my memory, I went back and paid for it. I don't think that really happened, but I think I've convinced myself that I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Snickers. Do you steal things from hotel rooms?
You know what? To be fair, I don't know if it's stealing, because
a lot of people have this debate.
I'll take pens and like pads of paper and stuff.
Yeah, they're going to be used anyway.
Yeah, I'll be like, that's perfect to take and throw
Stealing
it in my
from a hotel room to me is pillows.
Right, yeah.
Towels.
Yeah.
Did you know the number one thing stolen from hotels? Battery from the remote.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
Have you ever stolen a battery? I've never even thought about it.
No, like who goes into a hotel and they're like, oh my God, finally, there's a remote here. I've been searching for a battery.
Well, now that I'm thinking of it, we've all got that battery drawer. I could fill this thing up with how many hotels I stay in.
Yeah, that's
now they're all
true. Maybe you show up. Do you think people show up and they've got something they need a battery for? And like it's dead, and they're
or if it's like your mouse for your laptop or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But have you ever took a pillow?
No, I don't really like the
hotel pillows.
No,
I've taken a towel.
Yeah.
It was a hotel where it was not pet friendly, and I had my little Chiweenie at the time, so I just threw a towel over and acted like I was taking my jacket out.
Okay, I think that's the last thing.
Do you ever sneak into a second movie, pay for one, go to a second?
Oh yeah. Do you consider that stealing? I guess technically.
Yes, technically.
Okay. Well, I'm not like leaving with. I guess I'm leaving with the memories, but that's about it. But yeah. Oh,
you are a double movie guy.
I used to be.
No, wait. What changed? Oh, you got the whole fam jam now.
Yeah. At this point, I'm trying to stay awake through a movie, so I'm not. It's like a second movie. I'm like, nah, I want to go to bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
4. This is interesting for Philly. I don't even know if y'all are a Little Debbie people. I usually ask Mount Rushmore of Little Debbies. Now you're working out. You might not be a Little Debbie fan, so I can change this if you're not a Little Debbie person.
Well, I'm curious what you change it to, but I've always been more of like a Tasty Cakes. Is what we have like around here.
There's a lot of people that are Tasty Cake people.
Like,
do you even know any Little Debbies?
I know a very tiny Debbie. Yeah. And a little larger one too, actually. But as
Nutty
far as
Buddy?
like, what's that?
Nutty Buddy?
Yes, but that's more of a private thing.
Oatmeal cream pie?
That I'm not even touching that. But
come on.
No, I had. You know what? From the
Star Crunch.
The Little Debbie ones, I like the little whatever the cupcake, like the chocolate cupcake thing.
Okay.
It's really like the only Little
You
Debbie.
really don't like a Little Debbie.
No, the Tasty Cakes. I used to eat those. What are they like? Crimpets or something like that, like the butterscotch ones.
Oh,
those are good, and some of them have jelly in them. Yeah.
All right, let's switch it up.
All right.
4 toppings on your perfect pizza.
Okay. Oh,
First of all, thin crust or thick or regular? What do you got?
I'm more of a regular. I'm sometimes thin crust if it's really good, but thick is always it's like too much. But I'd rather have more pizza than like less.
Okay.
Pizza, if that makes sense. But so as far we're not counting cheese as a topping, right? That you need that. That's the essence of the pizza.
No, so. And I tell everybody a cheese. These freaks that go, I like cheese pizza. It's an unfinished product. I mean,
the pizza is dough, cheese, and sauce. Yeah,
that's like you go. I have a car, and I come into your house, and you just got wheels out there. You've just got the base. We need a car. We need something to drive this pizza. So now we got sauce and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
What's your 4 toppings?
4 toppings are. I always liked mushrooms on there for some reason. I like, and this could upset a lot of people.
You've already
like pineapple. I like pineapple on it.
Wait, with the mushrooms?
No. I don't like. I always like.
Oh, you're a single guy.
Except for you ever have any of those where you make your own?
Yeah. No, this is what we're doing. You're making your own, and you get 4 toppings.
With that, I mean, I would throw like everything. I always put like I like garlic on it, and then I'll put
what's that? Big honks?
Yeah, like big things of garlic, and then and then like the ricotta cheese. You ever have ricotta cheese on top of a regular pizza?
Okay,
that's amazing. I like to put corn on it, which
I've done it before. I'm in,
which is surprisingly delicious.
I'll swing into the corn camp.
And then I'm a pineapple guy. I mean,
you're really driving home the pineapple.
I like it. My wife hates it. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't. It's this extra. I like."
Are you doing the ham and pineapple standard, or are you just doing pineapple?
No, just the pineapple.
I'll tell you.
I used to love when I was a kid. I used to love pepperoni, but as I got older, that became like I don't know. It was just.
I'll tell you, my stepdad. You should try it. Pineapple and jalapeno.
Ooh.
He says it's kind of a clash of flavors there. Got the spicy and the sweet.
That's the whole thing. Yeah. And I guess the pineapple depends on what kind of sauce you have. Like if your sauce is a little on the spicier side, then I think the pineapple really works with it. So yeah, so that's something I might have to try that next time.
Yeah, I put it right in the trash, but I appreciate y'all trying. All right, three albums on the deserted island. Now I like to tell everybody that you're not. This isn't. You're going to get Twitter beat. You're not going to get Twitter beat for saying these are the 3 greatest albums of all time. These are the 3 you're stuck listening to forever. So you might want some greatest hits. You might want to mix up genres. You might want a live album. Whatever it takes, 3 albums on the deserted island.
All right. So this is the point where I'm like, I would love to some like classic rock or heavy metal or something that makes me feel cool.
Come on. This
I'm
is
a huge Bare Naked Ladies fan. So I would have Rock Spectacle as their live album. That was really good because I'm thinking I'm on an island here. It's got to have, I don't know that I'm listening to the entire album, but there are some songs in there that are my go-to I could listen to forever.
Well, I personally on this question like the live answer, anybody live. Mm-hmm. It gives it a feel there's more people on the island. I
didn't even think of that.
That's why I like the live theory there. So I'm always a fan of the live albums. Did they do the Big Bang Theory theme song live in this album?
Yeah, they did not on this album, no. But this is like early. This is early Bare Naked Ladies.
This is 1 week. We're jamming 1 week.
This is actually right before the 1 week album.
Is it before 1 week?
It's right before. So this is like Brian Wilson. You know that one?
That's a great song. Okay. All right. So
and they went
hard Bare Naked.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's for a long, almost like 30 years at this point, which is horrifying. But yeah.
How many times have you seen them live?
A lot. They're the band I've seen live the most.
Double digits?
No, I don't think quite double digits.
Okay. But still a lot. They're
still a lot. And then another album I would do Where the Light Is by John Mayer. And I know that some people they're like, John Mayer, he's like the poppy, whatever. That dude is one of the best guitar players I've ever heard.
Incredible.
And that
Tell me you're jamming sob rock.
What's that?
Are you jamming sob rock?
Yeah, I'm actually, I feel like with the new albums, you got to take a little bit of getting used to it. There are a couple songs in there that right off the bat I was into, but now I've listened a few times and it's tough when you've been a fan for because I wasn't a fan of his in the beginning. It was maybe 2009 or so.
You want Bodies of Wonderland?
No, I wasn't in that time. And I remember I had a girlfriend at the time. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to listen to this. And then I had a guitar teacher that was telling me, he's like, dude, he's like, you need to because I guess he was realizing what I was interested in learning. Yeah. And he's like, have you ever listened to John Mayer? And I'm like, nah, not really. And he's like, dude, you need to listen to him. And so he told me which albums to get and which songs to listen to. And I was like, oh man, this is really.
I mean, he's jamming with Grateful Dead now.
Yeah. And that's actually my third one is Shakedown Street, Grateful Dead.
Really?
Yeah. Not that I'm a big Deadhead, but there's something about, when you hear something when you're a kid, it sticks with you. And Shakedown Street, the song on there, that and Fire on the Mountain just songs I could listen to on repeat, just again and again and again. Shakedown Street, sometimes that's my morning song. If I need something, just get me going in the morning, just wake up. It's something about when it kicks in there. Cause I had a counselor at overnight camp that used to wake us up to it. And that was how I first, it was that was the way he'd wake up the whole bunk. He would just play Shakedown Street. So
you're jamming.
Yep. So that's my 3.
Bare Naked, Grateful Dead, John Mayer.
Yeah.
It's kind of on brand though. I know that I'm thinking about it. It's kind of on brand for you. It's not a bad list, but it's on brand for you for sure. Yeah, I'm listening to all 3. I'm with you though. All right. Number 2, I need 2 concerts. First concert you ever went to and last concert you've attended, which could be lengthy. I don't know if you've been to one since the lockdown came out, but
haven't been since then. The last one I went to was actually John Mayer. I went with my wife.
When was this? 19, 20?
Would have been the end of 19, I think.
Okay. Where are we going? Where's it at? Venue?
It was at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. We had we're in a box there, and which I thought was going to be really cool, but I actually did not enjoy being in the box. I would have rather been right in the center. I felt like I was like adjacent to the concert.
Like you were just in a building.
Yeah, and like watching, like I was watching a concert as opposed to being at the concert. If that makes sense.
So you heard it here first, folks. Don't ever offer Shernoff a box to anything. He's out.
Yeah.
All right. So
my first concert was Lenny Kravitz. Buddy of mine, for his birthday, he brought a bunch of us to a Lenny Kravitz concert.
Well, it wasn't your choice, not choice, but your dude said, "Hey, I got us all tickets. We're going."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You love it?
It was fine. Like I don't really. It was.
You were a casual fan?
I wasn't even much of a fan. Like it was all right. Like it was fine, but I was just. We went to it. And it was at the old. It was called the Tweeter Center. I don't even know what it's called now, but it's in Camden by the waterfront in New Jersey, and it's an outdoor venue. And I was more focused. There were girls there. I was like, I don't know if I was like 15, 16, something like that. And the girls are all like
girls, new smells. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. There's a lot of smell happening.
Do you remember first when you went, I have to buy tickets to this concert?
Oh man, I don't honestly. But I would honestly, I would say probably a Bare Naked Ladies concert. I'm not sure, but I feel like
gotta be close.
I feel like that's a pretty safe bet.
All right. And number one, this is interesting. You can't pick yourself. I usually ask if you were a wrestler, who would you be? So not yourself, since you were a wrestler, but who would you be if you were a wrestler?
If I was a wrestler, like
could be old, could be old, new, anything. Like
who do I see? I look at it and go, oh, that guy reminds me of me, or somebody that I wish I could have been.
Yeah, you wish you could have been.
It would have been, I would say, a tie between Bret Hart and the 97 era Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Because I was just such a fan of Shawn Michaels, which was really like, that was like, I felt like I was like sitting at the table and mom and dad were fighting with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart because they were my favorites. And I'm like, I don't know what to do here, but yeah.
So I usually ask who would be your tag team partner, but would it be them too?
Yeah, I guess one of them.
True.
Yeah, it would have to. I mean, God, you got Bret Hart. I guess I could be his his pocket Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and then you got with Shawn Michaels.
Think about if you're Shawn Michaels, your tag team partner's Hart, buddy. That's a combo.
Ooh, that would have been something.
That's a serious combo.
Yeah,
we got some technical stuff going on there. I usually ask. I ask this: what would you come out to? You can't pick their theme song. You got to pick a song.
So I used to, I came out to Superstar by Saliva.
Really?
Yeah. And then I had a buddy of mine who's in a band made a music that I came out to, but it was, I came out to Superstar by Saliva. So I guess that would have been my answer. Although it was.
What if you had to pick one now? What's a new one?
Now, dude, I don't know.
Like you show that mode where you hear a song and go, that'd be a kick-ass walkout song.
You know what? I have 3 kids, all 6 or under. So it's like, I guess I'm thinking like what's on the Frozen 2 soundtrack, like that has a really good beat. No, I don't know. Like from current stuff, what I would come out to.
Your dad, Arthur, got canceled. Are you torn up about this? Or are you happy?
What's that?
Did your kids watch Arthur?
No.
Thank God.
Got canceled?
Yeah, I got canceled.
Wow.
And a lot of dads are really happy about it.
Yeah, I thankfully never watched that. My kids watch some pretty good. They're into He-Man right now. So
He-Man. Old school?
So I got them watching old school He-Man.
The new one just came out.
The new one just came out and we watched it. And my 4-year-old runs around. It just repeating he only wants to be the bad guy. He only wants to be a heel. So yeah, because he knows he'll have more fun. Yeah. So he runs around just screaming like, I am Skelegod, which is not actually something Skeletor even says.
Skelegod.
But Skelegod, so I had shown him apparently like it's like we don't really know exactly what it is, except Mattel put out the action figure that's called Skelegod. So even though we don't really know exactly what the story is, I think
when did that figure come out?
Recently, very recently.
Really?
So, yeah. So he's obsessed with that, and he's been like trying to get a staff. And then this morning was like, so my daughter has one of those, like it's apparently like a wish bracelet.
Okay.
Like when it eventually falls off, your wish comes true.
Oh,
So she's 6. She had told my 4-year-old son that she wished for magic. So this morning,
wait, she just wants magic powers.
Wants magic powers.
Okay.
Her bracelet falls off. She legit thinks she's getting magic powers. But more so, she's like kind of like, you can kind of tell she's 6. She knows the score, but she's selling
She's
it
still
like
hoping it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But he burst into tears this morning. Like, what's going on? She can't turn me into Skelegod. He legitimately was banking on his sister's powers to transform him into Skelegod. And he was legitimately like heartbroken over this. And
that's amazing.
So I'm like explaining to him like the beauty of imagination and all like, all the things you can that can happen when you use your mind. And he's like,
that's still not as cool as your sister turning you into Skelegod.
Yeah. He's like, no, I want to be Skelegod.
That would be a cooler story.
Yeah.
I mean, imagination's cool, but my sister being magic would be pretty fire.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
All right, dude, you survived the countdown. Thank you for taking time with me.
Oh, man,
before we get out of here, of course, plug all your stuff. How can they follow you? How can they listen to you? How can they digest Shernoff?
Yeah, I'm on all social media at So Says Shernoff. I'm most active on Twitter. And of course, every Monday on the Mind of the Meanie podcast, you can get that wherever you get your podcast.
Wherever you're listening or watching in this, you can check out Mind of Me.
And I just launched another podcast platform, So Says Shernoff, which has a lot of it's basically when I do interviews for FITE, I then will put them on there. So I actually have the Nick Gage and Matt Cardona interviews on there. And some things I even did back, right, like the night of the debut of Dynamite. So I have a lot of like AEW talent from before things even happen. So go subscribe to that if you'd be so kind. And then I also have youtube.com/So Says Shernoff, which really has picked up because of that Matt Cardona interview. I put it up there and it has over, I think it was last time I checked, it was like 120,000 views, which, and it's great because like 120,000 views. And then it says on it, typical at this time, like 4 to 9. And I'm like, yeah, that feels about right. So
that's 120,000 more than we'll watch this interview. So
yeah, right. So as soon as Casio Kid has Josh Shernoff on, they're like, oh, guess he got.
I need the rub. That's why I got you on.
Yeah, right.
Shernoff,
man, you were gonna be so disappointed. It's no, but I'm excited about the YouTube channel because more people are subscribing, and I've got a fun show called Talking with Friends, which is just me and 3 of my friends. My brother's one of them. And we talk about, it starts kind of us talking about running a wrestling company when I was 15, and then stuff we did when I was older and actually got a promoter's license. So it's kind of a fun thing. And a lot of people crossed our paths, a lot of people in the business. And I've got fun stories. Like when I was in OVW, I traveled with Drew McIntyre and Wade Barrett. Like that was I drove them around. So I've got just fun stories that I tell with them. And then usually I'll send a text and be like, so I told this story. I hope that's okay. And it's been fine so far.
I mean, just kind of like you sold out Nick Gage in this episode.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's before I came on here. Meanie's like, you got to tell the Nick Gage thing. I'm like, Meanie, I don't want to betray his trust in that way. And he's like, you have to do that.
Listen to Meanie. It's not like you sold him out something stupid. I mean,
I heard him talking to his buddies saying like, dude, I'm
really
doing this for all you.
Of the moment.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's a real good thing. So, all
right, my man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Go get his stuff. Go listen to his stuff. Go check it out. Buy some merch. Where can they get the merch?
You can go to ProWrestlingTees.com/So Says Shernoff. And of course, go to FITE.tv. It's free to sign up. And I have a show, So Says Shernoff, over there, which I took a little hiatus on because it was a lot of work. But there's definitely episodes where I tear Meltzer a new one. So it's fun. People seem to enjoy it, or so they tell me to my face.
And if you're listening to this, B Meltzer, give us 10 stars if it's possible, 5 stars. rate everything, subscribe. Thanks everybody for listening to us. Thank you, Josh, man.
Thank you.
Look forward to hanging out with you in an event soon. That'll be a good sign for everybody if we're hanging out at an event. Everybody else, appreciate you listening. Subscribe, like, comment, tweet Josh, tell him thank you for coming on. Stay matched.